Hey everyone, it's Dr. Ramani. So I'm going to pose a question to you. Can you be out, but not out, of a narcissistic relationship? So I was interviewed on a podcast today where the question was about how does a person get to the point of leaving a narcissistic relationship? And I let the interviewer know that not everyone gets there. It depends on the nature of the relationship, on practical factors, on fears. You all know the list because enough of you have grappled with this. And certainly, there are many people who do leave narcissistic relationships, whether it's a breakup, a divorce, quitting the job, going no contact, disengaging significantly from the narcissistic people. But the question she had was really, what gets people to that sort of rock bottom moment? For some people, it comes when they hear about narcissism and become clear on the idea that the relationship and the behavior are not going to change. For other people, it's when children become old enough to tolerate a divorce or won't be as disruptive, or everyone is 18 so they don't have to face the abuses of family court. For others, they leave the toxic job once they get the pension. For others, because unforgivable things happen in the relationship. The narcissistic person, let's say, may finally become physically violent, or they finally cheat on you and you catch them, or the narcissistic parent who you kept in contact with, even though it was uncomfortable, finally says the same invalidating things to your child that they always said to you, and you're like, I'm done, and you pull out of the relationship. Whatever it is, even when they're big ticket relationships, that choice, that decision, that process, it's personal and it's yours. But again, I can't reiterate this enough. Not everybody can leave. And so people ostensibly stay in the relationship. They live under the same roof, or they roll up to the family events, or they show up to the office. They show up. So to the world, I guess on paper, it may look like you're still in the relationship. However, you are fully and mentally out, emotionally out, honestly. Many survivors will say, I get it. I know what this is. I'm aware when I'm being gaslighted. I know this person's a raging narcissist. And in fact, will even say that I'm no longer engaging with them. I'm no longer personalizing. And they'll say, I know it's not me. I know that I'm not the bad one. But they still have to have daily engagement with the narcissistic person, whatever that may be. So that begs the question, is it possible to be psychologically out of a relationship, but not be physically or logistically out? You could drop your answers in the comments. Here's my answer. Yes, it is. I have encountered far too many people doling out simplistic advice about these relationships. If a relationship is toxic, then just get out. But many people out there who are out, but not out, as it were. They'll say, listen, I'd be thrilled if this person never got in touch with me again. I'd be thrilled if I never had to see them again. It would be fine. Some folks in these situations where they still are sort of in contact with a narcissistic person will say, we're doing our own thing. We're not even sharing meals together. Others will show up to the family event, smile politely, see who they need to see, and get out before anyone notices. Others will say, I go to work, I do the job, I interact with nobody, I get the check, and I go. We do not live in a world where people can always just easily get up and leave. For one thing, it is a major financial luxury and privilege to say to someone, just leave. That right there is a factor blocking many people who are out but not out, as it were. They see it for what it is. They're well aware that if someone dropped a big old bag of money into their lap, enough so that maybe they could establish their own safe residence or car, or could hire people to engage in the caregiving of older parents or relatives, or they could quit the job, then they would do it in a minute. These are not folks who are holding on any longer for trauma-bonded reasons. These are people who are done and would love to be out, to be physically out. And they're fully mentally out, and they're doing pretty well, getting through the days, and even more than that, even thriving. I know this is more than a few of you. You would even know what it would take for you to get out. And for others of you, it may not be as simple as money. It may be cultural rules and beliefs about duty and obligation, and that to run afoul of that means not only flying in the face of long-held cultural beliefs and prescriptions, but losing any and all social support within the social structures you know. And that could place people at real peril, depending on where in the world they are or what other supports they have. And despite the painful sense that a person in a narcissistic relationship may have that you're being disloyal by recognizing the narcissism in a loved one, even people who face all kinds of duty-bound restrictions and can't get out of their narcissistic relationship are still able to sort of be mentally and emotionally out while they're physically and logistically in. I do believe that there can be major strides in healing when a person is mentally out, even if they are physically in. Realistic expectations, discernment, not believing the gaslighting and knowing what it is, all of it can make huge differences. You can eliminate that sense of surprise, like, I can't believe they said that. Sure, you should. You don't go deep. I'm not saying that the hurtful things they say won't hurt and that there won't be grief. There will be. But each time it happens, it's a painful reminder of what this is and the ongoing pain of having to endure it. But to also not engage in it, that's a form of power. And then you can slowly do the other things that are part of healing because you're no longer wasting time trying to please them the way you had to do when you were in, because you're not really in it anymore. You may cultivate friendships, volunteer, take classes, focus on work, double down on how you're present with your children, pursue something you've always wanted to do, write, create, put more focus on your career, whatever it may be. People who are out of the relationship but still logistically in have tremendous potential to heal. Narcissistic relationships are mental prisons. And if you can find your way out of that, the mental prison, then you really are mostly out of it. The ongoing stress is real, and radical acceptance means knowing that and the accompanying grief. But there are people who actually physically get out and aren't mentally out. I have to say, for those folks, healing is much worse. And by that, I mean those are the folks who may break up on paper, they move out, they divorce, but they're still obsessed with the social media feeds of the narcissist. They still ruminate. They're still vulnerable to hoovering, still wonder if they did enough, were enough, tried enough. They actually spend a lot more time, even though they're out of the relationship, they spend more time thinking about the narcissistic person than the people who are mentally out but may still live with or regularly interact with the narcissistic folks. Physically, logistically, practically getting out may not actually be being out of these relationships if it's in name only. And physically or logistically being in the relationship but mentally being fully and emotionally being fully out may actually mean that you're more out of the relationship than folks who look like they are. Breaking the mental chains of the trauma bond is the work. And many, many folks get there and heal a lot, despite continually having to see the narcissistic people in their lives. It's a bit more of an uphill run, but it can happen. And, you know, I keep telling you about it, but it's not you. You could even sort of send it to someone for Christmas and let them know it's coming right in time for Valentine's Day, but it's not you. Available for pre-order now. Available for pre-order now. Click the link in the video. Check it out. Thanks.